This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Tuesday, the 6th of January, 2026. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm joined by the Belfast statistician, Mr. David McGimsey, and a man who scored goals for this very great club, Mr. Gareth Martin. Over the next hour or so, we'll be bringing you through all the news and views of the Belfast Giants from the last week and more, and a whole lot besides. We're live. We're on demand on YouTube, X, Facebook, and you can listen to us through all the really, really, really good podcast providers. If you're watching live or on any other platforms, get involved, send us a message. We see them to the side here, and you might see some of your things on screen. Get involved. On this week's show, 7 games for the Belfast Giants over the Christmas period since we last spoke. 5 wins, 1 in overtime, 2 defeats, 1 in a shootout, and lots to ponder as we start to cross the halfway point of the Elite League season. This weekend also saw the Friendship. Spit this out. This week also saw the Friendship Series in town. We'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll chat with Jake Gaudey, and joined by the Nottingham Panthers head coach Danny Stewart ahead of a big weekend at the SSE Arena. Bit of the Player of the Month to do, and we have a few more little talking points we'll look over. Happy New Year to everybody watching on, and a Happy New Year to you, Mr. David McGimsey.
How you doing? It's still if you just like, I know this will rattle a few people, but it's still Christmas in my house.
It is. Today is the 12th day of Christmas, so that's fine.
All right, okay, so I'll get away with it. It should have been down, but I had stuff on today, work and other stuff.
I had this at work today. One of the lads said he was like about how he takes his Christmas tree down on the 1st of January. I'm like, no. So it's 12 days of Christmas, and today is the 12th day.
Yeah, I get away with it then, but I spent so much time putting that up on my own that I'm just squeezing every last drop out of Christmas. So good. I was away for most of it. I only got back a couple of days ago. So
was good to see.
There you go. There's somebody giving me, get that tree down. Paddy, tell him what he can do.
I'll tell you what you can do. Anthony Heron, 975. It's still Christmas as of today. Good to see you at the weekend as well, mate. And at the Manchester Storm game. And a big thanks to you, mate, because my 2 kids are buzzing. I know you give both Declan and Rasheen a bit of a run through on the bench, and had them putting out the gloves and looking at the sticks, and they've not shut up about it since.
It was nice to see them after what's probably been a pretty stressful time for your family, mate, down at a game, enjoying themselves, even taking the pressure off Joe for 2 minutes was worth it, you know. And
it was very, very much appreciated. They loved it. And what was a good game? We'll come to that. Gareth Martin, good to see you, mate. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, buddy. Good to see you guys.
How's your Christmas been?
So good. Sorry, I spoke of you there. I've had a busy Christmas, busy New Year. I'm just back from London. I was in London there Friday, and we were over for a good friend's wedding. So yeah, a lot of miles walked and a lot of beer drank. So awesome time. So yeah, it still feels like Christmas for me. I was actually going to go crack a beer open there, but I think I've got a knock on the head now and get back into normal life.
Oh, mate, over the last while, we've been like the wine that's been consumed in this house has been ridiculous. Both like sort of medicinal, as Davey said, we've had a bit of a rough month, but also when it came into Christmas and my parents came over and my brothers came over, and it's been all go. And then once they went, then just trying to settle down. It's only just kids went back to school today. It's only just starting to get quiet now and maybe get back into a bit of routine. But yeah, let's talk about these games. There's not going to be any. It's a bit of a different show. There's no sort of graphics. There's no sort of post games or highlights packages. We're just going to talk about what's happened over the last couple of weeks. The Belfast Giants, as we said, took part in 7 games. It was quickly rattle through the results. 7-1 win at home to the Dundee Stars, 9-0 win over the 5 Flyers at home, and then a 4-3 shootout defeat away at Fife. We welcomed just before New Year's the Glasgow Clan to the SSE and took an overtime win over them before going over to Renfrew and beating them 2-1. Before this past weekend, facing the Manchester Storm in Altrincham and winning 6-4, and then travelling down the road to Coventry to the Sky Dome, where the Coventry Blaze took the win 4-3. I think that's our first regulation defeat in quite a while. Looking over this period, and obviously this is sort of everybody says it's a bit of a crunch period, and where these games come thick and fast, Davey. Overall, given the 5 wins, 2 defeats, one of them being with a point, so only really 3 points dropped over the entire period. That's that's a good success for the Belfast Giants.
It was a cracking Christmas in terms of overall points retention. I think much the same for every team. There's a lot of games played in such a short period of time, and the transition from a home game to an away game to a home game, and across Christmas and New Year, when people are, are all us regular people are celebrating and having Christmas, and the guys are having to keep themselves right because they're playing Boxing Day, they're playing the 28th, 30th, 31st, 3rd, 4th. They play tomorrow night, they play 2 times at the weekend. The games just come so thick and fast, and there's a lot of travel. The same for every team. There's a lot of travel in there, so it is a difficult time of year. And you come out of that with just the 3 points dropped. And to be quite honest with you, you can get fixated on almost looking at negatives instead of looking at the positive side of the line. We probably should have won in Fife in regulation. We probably should have won in regulation on Sunday. We got ourselves in a little bit of penalty trouble. I think we're 5-0. We lost the penalty. 5 minors to them, or to us, if you like, and 0 to the Blaze. So, there was a few calls could have went a different way, and you come out and you win all those games. But I wouldn't like to focus on the points dropped. I'd rather focus on the points won. Some great performances, a lot of goals across the board. That 10-12-64 line really kicked into gear over the Christmas period as well. We got good goaltending out of Gravel and Whistle, so it was a really positive period. We say often on the podcast about looking at the league on the 1st of January. We can start looking at it now, and we've put ourselves in a lovely position.
I think from an overall perspective of the league, we'll come to that later in the show as a bit of a discussion as to where we sit and what's to come. Marty, you look at those games, those early games against Dundee and Fife, and they were 2 thumpings. They were 2. The Giants showed in front of it was a statement intent in front of an SSE Arena crowd, bigger SSE Arena crowds at that. And then, especially when Fife came into the building, there was a big build-up around Bush playing, but not just that, the arrival of Milan Lucic and his debut game. And while Lucic may have been the guy with the reputation, the star that night was Carter Hamill.
Yeah, no, funny. I was wondering what we're going to say about Carter there, but just going back to the Dundee, the 7-1, that's when Kenna Collins kicked into gear, wasn't it? He got 4 goals. He got man of the match performance. As you say, I was fortunate to be there. All the games actually for Christmas, I was there, and full arena, and it more or less did kickstart that line with Gaudey and Pickenich as well. It's obviously up their performances as well. So yeah, that night unreal, and then going into Boxing Day, then the hype around Booth and Lukic, and more or less, I remember just being there with Sis on watching warm up, and we just had our eyes glued on them just to see, their different ways they warm up, do what they do. And let's be honest, the first period I thought they were looking all right. Obviously a little bit kind of rusty on it, but then once we kind of kick-started the second period, and then goal after goal, and then that's the highlight of the Christmas period for me was then obviously Carter then getting the goal. He was then getting a regular shift there with Ben Lake and Kieran Long, and get his first goal, and a well-taken goal as well. It wasn't a dirty goal or a greasy goal in front of the net. It took the touch well, and then just more or less placed it past a well-established netminder. And yeah, it was emotional for myself and for Sis. It was just nice to be playing hockey with his dad, and then we've watched Carter develop from a young boy up until a young 21-year-old now. And obviously, I know him personally. I would speak to him every now and again, and look, he's enjoying his time. Obviously, what he's doing with Solway Sharks, but I just know that his dream is to obviously be with the Belfast Giants full time, and he's doing so good, and he's doing all the things right, and I know he's impressing Adam Keefe and the coaching staff there in the Giants, and he just needs to keep on what he's doing and just keep his head down and focus on his game. But yeah, the arena was amazing, especially over them 2 games.
It was his dad's birthday as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Stevie's birthday. Stevie's on Boxing Day. Yeah, so it was funny as well. More or less, I was kind of sending a message to Stevie just saying, happy birthday, and I did say to him, I think this could be the night. And Stevie Yeah, so yeah, that was it. So Stevie kind of done like a laughy face back, and after the game, he texted me just saying you were right. So yeah, it was good. It was good the way it all worked out, and well, obviously the performance 9-0. I mean, with the Giants only leading 1-0 in the first period, I thought, flip, we're in for a hell of a game here. But just the Giants more or less steamrolled them after that. Fife did look tired, and the Giants just grew in confidence. Every line, all four lines rolling, playing with confidence, and they were just unstoppable that evening.
I saw, like, obviously, I was able to get to the Manchester game there at the weekend, and you talked about Carter. Carter's getting a regular shift in that game as well. Davy, I want to throw it to you because obviously we always talk about the pride of seeing the local lads playing shifts for the Belfast Giants, but when we see them score, like Marty did himself, when we see them score, like Mo did himself, when we see them score, it's a special moment.
Yeah, I think Carter probably up until that point was probably playing maybe a little safe. Now Marty would talk about this with much more knowledge than me, but he was, his responsibility in that line, same with Ben Lake, same with Kieran Long, is not to get scored on, is to potentially come up with a goal like they did, but it's to get on and off and not lose a goal, and he guilty maybe of playing up and down once and jumping off. And on that particular shift, he's been up and down and he's back in his defensive end. He's going to go for a change and he sees that the breakout's on and he goes for another length and it ends up coming for a goal. Just to have that wee bit more, belief in himself that he can go on and do things. But, he's got a lot more ice time. As games tighten up, and Marty will know this himself as a young British lad at the time, as games tighten up, the lines shorten as well, and you maybe don't get those shifts in the third period, like Coventry when it's really tight or Manchester when it's tight. But whenever games have been, when the Giants have been either at the start of the game, the rule of four lines, and he's getting in and he's getting ice time, maybe 10 or 6-7 minutes through the period of the game, tightens up in the third period, maybe don't get as much ice time, but he's out there, he tries to finish every hit, doesn't matter the size of the opponent. That's his go-to thing, is to get down the ice and try and lay some body on body and let the coach know that he's willing to do whatever he wants to do. And for me, as Carter's doing, I can't mention Carter without mentioning Kale, and Kale's doing so well over in Solway, 3, 4, 5 points over the Christmas period, sort of 20th of December, and that Solway team playing pretty short bench at the minute. So kudos to them both for doing so well, and they're two lads that I think are going to end up hopefully in full-time Giants shirts down the line somewhat.
Let's have a quick chat about the downside of it, which is the two defeats. One of them being that Fife were able to exact their revenge. They exacted their revenge, like basically. Was it the next night or a couple of nights later? It was a couple of nights later. It was a Friday. It was they were in a 4-3 shootout win. I'll start with you, Davey. What was the difference there? Why go from a 9-0 slapping to a 4-3 shootout? Where did Fife change, or where did we change?
Change goaltenders for one. Shane Owen did not have a good night in Belfast. I think as much as the D quit on Shane Owen might have quit a wee bit on the D as well towards the end of that game. Midway through the second period, they had the young British guy on the bench, and with the greatest respect, they weren't going to bring him in that situation when a team's already absolutely rinsing you. That's not the time to bring one of those young lads in. We knew, Lucic, Booth, by the way, Booth has got wheels. This boy has shown why he played at the level he played at. Very, very good acquisition for Fife. You knew that they were going to be a different animal in their own barn, their home debuts. The place was going to be packed. It was Christmas, so it was going to be full. It was going to be noisy. Difficult travel day for us in terms of getting the boat and arriving. There's you come up with loads and loads of factors if you want. There's a public skate on when we arrive. Dressing rooms aren't ready. All these things that just go against you. Your preparations a wee bit squashed, and you just have to go in. And it hinged on one, in my opinion, very, very bad call on Alexi Gravel knocking the nets off. And it happened 3 times. Purbu had done it 3 times during the game without a word said to him. Gravel, I put it on Twitter. Alexi catches right-handed, so his right hand's down on the ice and his shoulders up. the shot comes from the top of circles and Alexi's gone to make the initial save with his shoulder. He's 6 foot whatever, 6 foot plus 110 kilos, and you're playing with toy pegs. You know, those nets come off, you blow at them, and the penalty's called on us. They score on, tie it up, and it goes to overtime and penalty shots. And as we know, penalty shots are a bit of a lottery. It goes to 5 or 6 rounds, and they come up. What I said earlier, you can get overly focused on negatives of dropping a point there, you know, rather than thinking, no, that was a solid enough point on the road to take away. Your
take, Marty, on that in regards to, you know, when it comes to, we've got Jake Gaudey coming in just a second. You know, I'm going to sort of put this as to him as well. But when you get that sort of a 9-0 and then you go into what is more of a battle and it doesn't go your way, is there frustration there? As in, well, hold on a minute, we stuffed these guys a couple of nights ago.
Well, no, I think Davy analysed that very well. Just my take, I've played in both arenas, and I mean, when you go to the SSE, Odyssey, you know, you've got your luxury there. You can go through your routine from warming up to stretching to just doing your little different rituals, whether it be hanging this piece of clothing on this clothes peg and bringing this part of your item. You know, you have so much space, you have so much things you can do. But when you go into Fife, you know, a little bit of an older rink, you might be waiting in the change room an extra 5-10 minutes. You go in there, it's pretty cramped. Obviously, the home team have a little bit more luxury. So already you're a little bit uneasy. You go out there, you're not maybe as loose or as limbered up as kind of what you would at home. And then the Slate 0-0, you know, they're a professional team. They've took a hammer, and so their backs are up as well. You know, you're going to go out there and it's going to be more of a grind. They're going to maybe forecheck a little bit harder. They're going to play a different style, and they're not going to let you get into your flow as easy as what you did the night before on home ice. And as Stevie just said there about, you know, the crowd, but you know, the ice. I don't know what the ice is like there with the public session, but you know, obviously, maybe I didn't get to see the game, but it was a lot of dump and chase, Davy. I'm not too sure with regards to how it was, but I'm just going off my experience of going to Fife, and you just had to kind of stick to the basics. And when the home team were doing the basics and maybe getting the bounce off the dasher boards, which are maybe, I think in Fife, they're a little more solid than they are at home. So all them different little factors kind of come into play, and the little 50-50 bounces sometimes go in favour of the home team. And if they do get the momentum and the crowd get behind them, then it's a completely different team in 48 hours.
Let's bring in our first guest and sort of continue this conversation in regards to that game against Fife and the Christmas period as a whole. Unfortunately, in the game on the Boxing Day, he took a bit of a knock. But so far, with 26 points across League and Cup, we're delighted to have Jake Gaudey back on AVFTB. How are you doing, mate?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming on. First of all, how's the knock coming, mate? When do you feel we might see you again on the ice?
It's good. It's coming along. It's pretty minor. Hopefully, you know, a week or two we'll kind of see. I got to chat with the doc in the next few days here and kind of fine tune it.
How's the frustration when things like this happen? How do you keep your head back in the game?
Yeah, I think you just try and do what you can to stay ready. Like whenever you do finally get healthy, it's a part of kind of the job, right? Like you play hockey long enough, you're going to get hurt. It's hopefully trying to limit the amount of time that you spend out, I think.
You were sitting in the background there as we were just chatting about the differences, like regards to playing in Fife against Fife, and then that game that, you know, the 9-0 that you were part of, that you got the assist in at home, and the differences. What do you think the difference was or could be? Marty was saying about the difference in the style of the ice. You know, is that, you agree with him there?
Yeah, I think that's pretty bang on. It's a completely different rink. It almost feels like a different sport in some ways. It's just smaller, kind of a more hostile environment. The ice isn't great, and even just having to travel like day of, I think, is a big difference. Where it's a huge, it's a huge difference just being able to, you know, be at home and eat a meal for lunch and then walk over to the rink as opposed to traveling kind of all day to go play in Fife. So, yeah, I think it's a big difference, and that's a good hockey team. You know, they've made some big signings. We kind of jumped on them, I think, in one of their first games together. That first one that was 9-0, but they're a good team. I think you've seen that in some of the games they played against some other teams. So I think, you know, obviously they watched some video and kind of were maybe a bit more motivated in that last game.
Jake, we were talking probably before you came on about it's easy to get focused in on the negative side of things. You know, the points dropped in Fife and the points dropped in Coventry. rather than look like, I think our last 16 games with 26, 27 points. Look at the positive. This has been a really good start to the Elite League season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we've kind of hit a new stride, I think, a little bit as a team over the last stretch that you mentioned there. And there's obviously a lot of positives. It's disappointing to drop a few of those games. And I think, we've watched video and trying to identify areas where some of those mistakes are being made. But yeah, a lot of reasons to be pretty excited here coming into the stretch in January and the winter.
And similar for yourself, it'd be easy to look at the negative of at the minute having to sit a few weeks out. But whenever you started the season back in, it was probably July, August time, whenever you were hitting the ice for the start for the Giants, that you'd be such a critical part of this organization already.
Yeah, well, I've been excited to come and to get to play more hockey. That's kind of the way I was looking at it. And yeah, I think we've got a good group of guys here. It's a lot of fun to play, a great fan base. So there's been a lot of reasons to kind of be excited to be a Giant, and then to get to kind of carve out a bit of a role here has been exciting as well.
Jake, I just want to continue on kind of what Davey was saying. Obviously your important role in the team. At the early stages, obviously Adam was mixing the lines about, and you'd had different wingers, but you always kind of seem to have Jordan Kawaguchi on your left wing there, and obviously you played with Picnic for a little bit, and like Grasso, and obviously now you're more or less cemented there on the top line with Nicholas Gay, obviously joining Jordan Kawaguchi, and I just feel that you've kind of brought out the best in them two guys. Obviously, we've seen Nick Gay playing centre numerous games, but now it just seems that you're the centre man there, and you just kind of are the glue for them two guys. How did you feel? Did you always kind of feel that you and Jordan were going to kind of bring someone along like Nick? Yeah, did you kind of feel that chemistry early on?
I wouldn't say we felt it early on. I think we're pretty lucky that we have a lot of high quality forwards where you can kind of mix and match, and it seems to work. But for whatever reason, playing with Gooch and then having Gay added into the mix. It seemed to click kind of in the first couple of games, and then we're pretty close in the room too. So it's been a lot of fun to have some success on the ice, and also be able to joke around and have a good time in the locker room together. And
obviously, along with taking the knock there, did you travel the weekend, or did you be able to get a bit of R&R at home?
No, I don't travel, or we haven't been traveling if you're not healthy. So I was here. Yeah,
no, because I know it's been pretty hectic. Obviously, you guys probably don't know if it's Christmas or New Year. It's all being rolled into one. So I suppose that's the benefit. Well, obviously you don't want to be doing that, but at the same time you're able to kind of get healed up. And obviously we want to see you back on the ice out there because you're a big fan favorite.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I think like you said, it's trying to use. Obviously, don't want to be sitting out, but smart to kind of use it as an advantage here and get ready for kind of the last stretch into playoffs, hopefully.
How's it settling in? Well, to say settling in, it's been a few months now, Jake. So, in regards to Belfast and life in Belfast and what you expected of it and what it's turned out to be like.
Yeah, no, I've loved it. My wife and I are both here. We're doing the MBA program. I think I mentioned the first time I was a guest here on the pod. And it's been great. We've met a ton of made friends in class that are here, that are local. Everyone we've met, there's been a ton of really kind people that we've enjoyed our experience here so far. My family's been a couple times. We've got up to the North Coast, kind of explored that area, Donegal County a little bit. Tried to get the most out of just being here for a year. Yeah, we've been loving it so far.
What was it like to having to do, because obviously Christmas is a big time, big family time for everybody, but having to spend that time here, having to be away from home, having to spend it as part of but then also having to knock. How difficult was it?
It was difficult, but my family actually we did Christmas here in Belfast. So both my sisters and my parents came over, so they were here for 10 days. So it kind of we did Christmas overseas, and it made it fun just to kind of have them all here and together. And I got hurt while they were here, so it's nice to have them there for the last day. But it was good. It's good to just kind of have family around and get to show them around the city.
So, Jake, you'll have to put your pundit's cap on then, seeing as you've said, it's going to be another few days before you get the skates back on. A couple of big games, obviously Dundee tomorrow night, and then Nottingham, top of the table, Nottingham Panthers, and Manchester coming in again at the weekend. What are your hopes for the next 4 or 5 days?
Yeah, well, I think, for us, it's especially Nottingham's a huge game. They're obviously top of the table. all three of those games, I think are important for us to kind of jump back from an iffy weekend. I think against Coventry there on Sunday, I think it was. I think they're all important games. You can't afford to really lose any of this stretch, especially coming into kind of the last few months here.
Before we let you go, one of the things we're doing, I'm going to run around this, and I tend to like putting you lads on the spot when it comes to this.
Right, okay.
It's the player of the month for December. We've asked people for their nominees, and they come up with the following 4 players. The 4 players nominated are: number 1, Jackson Whistle; number 7, that is of course Reid Irwin; number 23, Mike Lee. And we spoke about him just earlier, 29, the Gooch, Jordan Kawaguchi. We're going to put this to the public vote in a day or two, and then we'll hopefully hand over this award come the weekend. But I'll come to you last, Jake. I'll start with Gareth Martin. Who's your
I think Mike Lee just edges it. Obviously, a big factor was getting that overtime win against the Glasgow Clan on the 30th. And he's been solid in D, and he's obviously producing a lot of assists as well. So, for me, he edges it this month.
David?
I always like to give them all a little bit of a shout. I think Jackson, the amount of W's he's had in the last sort of, 10 games can't be sniffed at. We also got Mike Lee there, that massive overtime goal against, we talked about him before, thinks a bit of the Derek Walters about him, thinks he's a winger. He's really a D-man. Reid Irwin's been great in there, but for me, Jordan Kawaguchi, he's like eating pucks when he needs to. His assists, goals, key moments, plays both ways up and down the ice. He's a leader in there without a letter in his jersey, So for me, Gooch, number 29.
Before we come to you, Jake, I'm going to agree with you, Davy, on that as well. Jordan Kawaguchi really impressed me over the last number of weeks, and I know the game at the weekend against the Manchester Storm doesn't really count in this sort of December play of the month. But you look at the way they coming up with a big goal at the end of that, but also when we were 2-0 up, trying to a little between the legs, a bit of flair coming in there as well. He's a player who's got so much in his locker, and he showed that through the month of December, so he'd get mine. Jake Gaudey, who would you have as your player of the month of December?
Tough to pick anything but Wiss. I thought Wiss has been awesome, especially in December, keeping us in tight games. But I got to go with my boy Kawaguchi. Like you guys said, I just think he does all the little things that you'd want in a player that knows how to win big games. Like he said, he's blocking shots. He's kind of leading in the locker room, and he's coming up big and late in games, whether it's, a tying goal or winning. I think he's kind of proven that he's capable of that all year. So he's my pick.
Well, there you go. The poll will open on Twitter on Wednesday morning. We'll take your votes on the public vote, and we'll hand over the View from the Bridge Player of the Month award for December this coming weekend. Jake Gaudey, we hope you see you on the ice very, very soon, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it.
Once again, big thanks to Jake. Right, big game. We've got a number of big games this week. We played Dundee, obviously, on Wednesday night, but the league leaders will be coming to the SSE Arena on Saturday. The Nottingham Panthers flying high in the league. We are delighted to be joined by their head coach, a friend of ours, Mr. Danny Stewart. How you doing, mate?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing really well, mate. Top of the league, mate. You must be a happy man.
Yeah, no, obviously happy now, but, look at the standings and realize there's still half a season to go. So long way to go. Look, we, I think early December there, we hit a little bit of injury issues, and then, but we managed it well. Some really good performances that ended in results, and some ugly, scrappy wins, but all important, to get us where we are now. So we're getting healthy now, which is a good sign, and some big games coming up. It's a big month for us.
Obviously, we've just been chatting there with Jake. I know you were in the background, but we were giving that interview. But the guys are coming through. This is a busy period when you've got guys who are maybe in this league for the first time, that having tough schedules is not unusual and not unusual for them. But coming, especially when lads are away from home, across the Atlantic, trying to get through a busy schedule at a time for family. How do you drive the guys through that?
I'd drive them through. I mean, there's got to be a little bit of self accountability during that time too. You do give them, I maybe a little bit more. I don't know, compared to other coaches, I do give them some time off before Christmas there, and it's some switch off time, but. I had this conversation the other day. I've had some seasons where we've come back from that and had some of our best hockey. And I've had a couple seasons where we laid an egg on Boxing Day or throughout the holidays. So you never really know. I think it's just focusing in on, where we are and what we've done and, not being content with it and making sure guys are doing the right things and not enjoying the holidays too much. And, and then, obviously hammering in the details in a short period of time, because during those holidays, you don't have a lot of practice time. And, it's very easy to try and overcoach during those times. So, just trying to get that balance of, preparing the guys without overcoaching.
Danny, I know I sometimes tease Panthers fans on Twitter or whatever. By the time I go to take my Christmas tree down, we're already looking over our shoulders at the Panthers. But this season, we're on the chase. Does that give a different aspect for you? Being a front runner, do you lead well? Are you looking over your shoulder at different teams? Are you always looking at the other results, or is it just look after your own barn and see what happens?
I think in theory, in a way, I think even compared to last year at this point, we started kind of stringing wins together, and we were the ones chasing, and I think our focus was just the next game, right? And, I think in that sense nothing changes, but I'd be lying if I said you didn't keep an eye on the scoreboard elsewhere and hoping for help from other teams, and of course you do. So you're aware of how everyone else is not only performing but how they're getting results, and but yeah, I think it's just a mentality of just the next. Who's next? It's I think this league's so good now that if you look too far ahead, and that causes you to maybe slip up in games that you probably shouldn't.
Tommy, obviously each year as a coach you set out goals. Last year you obviously had different goals set before you, and obviously you went out and won the playoffs in dramatic style. Your second year coaching the Nottingham Panthers. You've set yourself up in good position. Certainly, you're still in the Challenge Cup here, big semi-final coming up against the Steelers, and then as Davy's just touched there, you're heading the tree there in the league. Do you feel that you're above your goals at the minute, or do you feel that this is the way it was kind of set out in August, September time?
To be honest, I wouldn't say we feel we're above our goals. I think last year when I took the job, the main message was in the summer was, the guys coming in is we wanted to put this club back on the map, right? We wanted to be, contending for things. We wanted to kind of bring better energy to the arena and put in, more consistent performances and with that results. And I think we certainly achieved that last year, and maybe even overachieved at times. And but with that season one out of the way, and bringing back a returning core, and the ability to build around that. Our goal from day one when the season ended last year was to come back and compete for every trophy, and we're certainly doing that right now, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I've been keeping a close eye on you, certainly over the Christmas period there, and obviously coming into Belfast, it's going to be a big game, and obviously you have a lot of big fixtures coming up. So you do you embrace these moments now? Because obviously the likes of Boxing Day and then the return leg against the Steelers, it's not a case of the Steelers kind of being the favourites. It's now the Panthers are looking good to win this series over the Steelers, and then when you look at the series with the Giants and then obviously the Cardiff Devils, I mean, is this what you kind of embrace now for the remainder of the season?
Well, I think the guys got to embrace where they're at and what they're playing for every night. In terms of who's favorites, I mean, these teams are all so equal in so many ways, and anybody could beat anybody on any given night. So it's like I said, long way to go. Nobody's getting ahead of themselves. We've played 27. We got 27 left. That's a lot of hockey in a short period of time. So but you know what? We had this chat with the guys kind of, at the end of our last game there, and just, embracing the moment and where we're at and all these meaningful games. It's a lot better to be going into games and having that type of pressure than, trying to lock down a playoff spot or, trying to get yourself out of a slump or I could think of 100 other, scenarios you can be in. So, to be challenging for the top and every game feeling like a playoff game from here on in, it's a good thing to have.
I've got a couple of questions I want to ask you, obviously, about this season, but can I just take you back to last April and to that playoff final? Literally one of the most crazy, dramatic, topsy-turvy games with an overtime like I've never seen, being called back so many times. I think I left the arena 3 times just like thinking, right, this game's done, I'm off. From your point of view on the bench, keeping the lads' head in the game when you've thought you've won to be told you've not, thought you've lost to be told you've not, and then actually win. Like, what's going through your head then? How are you keeping focused on that?
Yeah, that was certainly a lot of emotions, but I think, you know what, and obviously for me as a coach, it was my first final. And I don't know, for some reason I felt less stress, less pressure. It's almost like all the hard work to get there had been done. And in that game, I mean, we were in the driver's seat all game until about a minute left there in the second period. We turned the puck over and gave them a lifeline, and you seen them come out, and they were a great team, and they came out in that third period and put us under fire. And and then we had to regroup after the third period after squandering that 3-0 lead, and then like you said, thinking you won it. Everybody's celebrating, camera crews on the ice, and then you got to pick your gloves up and go again. It was and then to think you lost, and then same thing, okay, reset again. But I have to say, we just kind of kept that even keel. We knew in the final there'd be a lot of big moments, a lot of momentum shifts, and we talked about just kind of managing it and next shift mentality. And a credit to we had a good leadership group as well, and a great group of guys in the room that were, by that point had been through a lot of decisive games, down the stretch there, including the 2 against you guys where we still had a lifeline and, trying to win those hockey games and, put in good performances, but came up a bit short. But I think all in all, just keeping a level head and, big credit to the leadership group and the group of guys we had as well.
There's so many fun points that weekend, from Sam Herr waving bye-bye to Jason Grandy's his performances. Mitch Fossey, I thought, was brilliant in that weekend. But I do want to loop it back to yourself, Danny, because like you say, it was your first final, and you think about, like, I remember you at Newcastle, and when I was up there in Whitley Bay, when you were coaching up there, then on to Fife, on to Coventry, and now at Nottingham, and getting it and lifting that playoff trophy. That must have been a massive thing for you to be able to say, you put the hours in, you put the time in as a coach, you've worked your way to this position to finally lift that trophy as the coach of the Nottingham Panthers. But as Danny Stewart, how did that feel? Yeah,
it felt unbelievable, if I'm being honest. It I guess in some way validated all those years of slugging it out and, doing GM and coaching roles for, lower budget teams and, just trying to battle for every inch. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it just kind of validated, all that work you put in all those years of, certainly my first year in Newcastle and first year in Fife and, getting my feet wet as the head guy in Coventry, first couple years in the conference system, which wasn't easy as well. But look, it's been through a lot of ups and downs, but wouldn't change any of it. I think all those seasons, all those moments, built a lot of strength and, through that adversity, made me not just a better coach, but a better man as well.
Marty, do you have anything more?
No, I'm all good. I'm all good.
Okay. Those were why I'm going to wrap it up, Danny, is the fact that obviously we got this game coming in on Saturday at the SSC Arena, the league leaders against the reigning champions. No team so far that I can see has achieved that consistency, those consistent wins through the season. You guys lost like we did just a few weeks ago to the Coventry Blaze. You had a bit of a back forth with the Sheffield Steelers. Find that consistency between the big teams, and I'd say between yourselves, ourselves, Cardiff, Sheffield, which are probably the four who are going to be in this fight. The first team to find consistency is probably going to go on to win it.
I mean, yeah, I think in theory, but I mean, to find consistency, I think this league, there's so much pressure to win every night. You know, you look at all those four teams' winning percentage. I mean, you put that in any other league, you're a top team.
Yeah.
No, and I think, you know, you drop one or two and everyone starts, you know, ringing the inconsistency bell. But yeah, I mean, obviously the way our league's designed with the league championship, you know, you have to have an unbelievable, and you know what, one message we sent to our guys is winning this league is the ultimate test of discipline. It is, it really is. And, you know, you have to start in September and you have to start winning games then, and you have to keep winning games, you know, into April. And yeah, I mean, consistency, I mean, I guess it depends how you define it. Like if, you know, probably the team that wins it's going to have to probably be around an 80% win percentage. And that's a hell of a season and a hell of a job. And, you know, a team's going to finish second or third or even fourth at a 75 or a 74. And that's, I mean, in most leagues in the world, that's a hell of a job. So, I mean, but that's how our league's built. It doesn't really have time for excuses or injuries or tiredness or anything like that. So you just gotta, and as I mentioned earlier, you know, we had you know, especially last weekend, our wins against Guildford and Glasgow, they weren't pretty. You know, we were 6 in 9 days, I think, and we just scraped those out and found a way.
Well, listen, Danny, we really do appreciate you coming on, joining us. Always love chatting with you, and we're not going to wish you well in this season. That just doesn't happen. But we do thank you for coming on, and yeah, great chatting. Cheers, mate.
All right, guys, thanks for having me. Take care.
Thanks, Danny.
Massive thanks to Danny Stewart for taking the time and coming on. I always love what he has on. Like, wears his heart in his sleeve with regards to coaching, Davy. You know, and as I said there, a guy who's worked so hard within this league, both hated him as a player, despised him as a player. But you can see the guy who's put the hours in at the different clubs, and you know, you can't, you know, as much as we didn't like to see the Nottingham Panthers win the playoffs, with regards to people like Danny, you can't help but be happy for them.
You said there that you always like what Danny Stewart has on. He was wearing a Panthers hoodie, so I can't agree with you. But but you're right. Like as much as I dislike the Panthers in terms of them being a team that I always want to beat, you've got friends there like Mitch and Laura and Danny and stuff. You know, Razor and boys that have been Big Daz and all, boys that have been there for a long time. And they've got their opportunity to win a medal, get a medal hung around their neck, and lift the trophy in their own barn, which is, you know, it's something special, as we all know. We've been very fortunate to do it so many times, and you know, for them to win one, it's nice for the underdog to get one man again. An interesting
comment there, Marty, from Danny Stewart on that this league is the ultimate test of discipline. It's a really fair point.
So the ultimate test of discipline.
Discipline.
Oh yeah, because as he has just said, the stress is on every game. You can't take a night off. You know, in different leagues where it's all geared around the playoffs, obviously different teams just want to scrape it through or just want to get in, you know, by a certain date. Where here it's like, yeah, once you play your first league game, it's all about being focused on winning and making it count towards the final table. And at the minute, he's the guy doing it, isn't he? With them being at the top of the table. Just you guys obviously saying about, you know, how you like Danny and things like that. What I like about Danny is I've obviously played against him when he was Coventry, and I remember he was always kind of a marked guy. You always knew he was always focal. He was always getting stuck in, and I just loved the passion that he brought onto the ice. And then even when I'm doing commentary as well, whether it be when he was with Coventry Blaze and obviously now with the Panthers, he's always focal. He's always kind of inspiring towards his players, and I kind of like that trait that he has.
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. And thanks to him once again for coming on. Funny you said, just that popped in my head because you said about having that vocal sort of approach. Was it the Fife game when we were absolutely hammering them, where Kiefer just shows you his competitiveness? The Kiefer's still screaming at the referee because there was that cross check. Was it cross check to Ben Lake's neck or somebody's neck? It's just like calls.
I think we're at 7-up at that 7-0 up, aren't we?
Sorry, David. Yeah, there was that, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there's been a little scrum that in front of the net where Lakers taking a cross check. He's gone over to say, who was it, Marty?
I'll have to look and see who it was.
Was it Winquist on
no, big guy. I can't remember anyway. But he goes over and he cross checks him in the throat.
He does.
It's as clear a major penalty, let alone a minor penalty, and nothing called. We end up on the penalty kill because
we get a 2-minute minor for the bench.
We get a 2-minute minor for unsportsmanlike from the bench. Absolutely. By the way, terrible. Anyway, say nothing.
Go on, Davey. Go on.
No, you know where it's going. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because it's not right to say things like that. The referee and unit are part of the furniture, as we often say. Sometimes, in my opinion, they can make mistakes as well.
Well, I did flip the screen there, but I need to bring it back here, boys, because one thing, just to have a quick chat about that happened at the weekend was the Friendship Series. And it's a big congratulations to Boston University. BU win the 2026 Friendship Series, having defeated Harvard in the final. This, Marty, is such a great tournament on the back of the Friendship Four, and it's always great. And I'm sure Steve Thornton's happy to see BU win it, but as the men did in 2024. But again, to see this expanded to 4 teams and to see how great it was just great to see at the SSE Arena.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see, obviously, female ladies ice hockey taking place in the SSE Arena. That was the big success of this weekend. And I was unfortunate, as I say, I was away. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see any of the games, but I've spoke to a few friends and a few friends from work as well. They went along and brought their daughters who would play rugby and football, so it was nice for them. They obviously they appreciate female sport, but then to actually go and see ice hockey, a new sport, and obviously get it exposed to their daughters, it's a major plus. But I did see it last time round. I think it was 2 years ago. It was here, and the skill that I had witnessed back then. Sometimes I was thinking, cheapers, I wouldn't want to go out there now and try and compete with some of these girls because they've got some skill. They certainly bring it, and then they're not afraid they kind of get stuck in and play the game correctly.
Maeve Carey there, the captain of Boston University, ringing that bell, and it was Mary Pedersen, the goalkeeper, who got the player of the tournament. Davey, we always say, and you're always very keen to say, especially when it comes to women's sport and things like this, if you can see it, you can be it, and to have this expand and to have such a successful tournament at the SSE Arena is a feather in the cap for the organisation. But it's great to see it. Hopefully, something we see again.
Like, as an advocate for women's sport in general, as a dad of girls, I want to be able to see girls playing hockey because it's a sport I love, and it's an opportunity for girls in Belfast to see that, hey, this is maybe a game for me. Maybe they go play field hockey, maybe they go play football, maybe they get out of their bedrooms from playing Xbox or whatever it is they do, and they go and play a sport. They go running, they go cycling, whatever it happens to be. Get off your backside, go and be active, and if that takes you into a sport and sphere where you can end up team sports, for me, has given me so much in life. It's given me this podcast. If it wasn't for the Belfast Giants, I wouldn't be involved in this. It's given me football and friendships that you have for generations and for lifetimes, and you pass that on to your kids. You hope that the team sports are so important, but especially for young women to have an outlet in fantastic arenas. BU again, coming over. I have to be quite honest, I'm a bit like Marty, because I was traveling with the Giants over the Christmas and New Year period. The only thing I got to see was the setups in the locker room, because me and Taff were in doing laundry and stuff, and these teams had moved into the locker rooms. Fantastic setup, very, as you would expect from NCAA colleges, incredibly professional setups, elite level setups, fantastic. The BU locker room looked brilliant and resplendent, and in red. You know, the Minnesota was decked out in yellow and sort of browny sort of color. But, you know, they're really, really nice. And I'm glad that the tournament went really well. I think crowds were pretty good. Went across well on the TV, and Giants TV, of course, doing a brilliant job of those guys again. But yeah, another fantastic tournament, and I can't wait for them to be able to come back again.
It was a 3-2 win in the final. I watched the final, and I was hoping to get home for it, but circumstances. And the final was very entertaining. A 3-2 win for Boston over Harvard. It gets them to ring that bell and win the 2026 Friendship Series. Well done to them. Just want a bit of a chat, just a couple of things as we run through, just things that happened. Clan fans are a bit unhappy. There was an open letter today from the Clan fans saying that maybe there's a bit too much focus on the off-ice issues than on the on-ice, that they want quite an interesting letter, actually, about how, while they understand that the off-ice stuff is there and it's part of it, the on-ice stuff is the actual thing, and the off-ice is the packaging. So wanting more on-ice focus than the off-ice. You shake your head, Davey. You don't necessarily agree, or
don't agree. I don't agree in any shape or form there.
Why not? Do you think they have to work together, or
they have to go together? They're 100%. It's chicken and egg. You know, which comes first. I agree that the most important thing in hockey, it's a results-based. The most important numbers in hockey are the two on the scoreboard on any given night. I agree with that, but if Glasgow just turn into that, then the crowds don't be there to support that, which then the money's not there to buy the players to do that. It's just it's a budget, and put out what you can from that. I disagree with. I just think it has to. The two of them have to run side by side. It's the nature of the beast.
Marty?
Symbiotic? Did you say?
I did say symbiotic.
Everything Davey just said. I agree with Davey there. Everything that Davey said, 100%.
They both have to have them together. Well, that's so that it was an interesting thing. Fife's changes. We mentioned them earlier with regards to Milan Lucic and Boots coming in. They came off the foot of the table for the first time in a long, long time. They're back there now, as you can see from the league table next to us. Dundee dropped one, but they're level in points with Dundee. Milan Lucic is a big name. Now, take away all the other the sort of the circus that's going on around it with regards to the what's happened in North America, and of course some very serious allegations and et cetera, et cetera. But from the standard, I want to focus on the hockey and the standard of hockey. And I don't want to say like we're casting that aside. I'm not. I think it's a very serious allegation that's been made, but it's not something I want to discuss here on A View from the Bridge. But elements like this with regards to his ability and his history within the NHL and what he's achieved and the standard of player that he is, and Booth. Marty, is this enough to get Fife where they need to go?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I was a bit guilty of just kind of watching him rather than the play of the puck when Fife were over, just to see what he'd done different. And you can just tell he kind of just has that little bit of an edge, whether it be reading the play, maybe one or two plays beforehand, or maybe just even his passing, getting that puck and not. It's a bit like our Eriksson, having Eriksson in our team. Sometimes he just does things that little bit special. And even with the likes of Booth as well, and David just said, the first game in Belfast, I thought he was good, but he's certainly stepped it up. He's got that little bit more explosion. It's about reading the situation right. But we obviously had a little bit of a laugh the other week on WhatsApp, and I had said about Fife and the playoffs, things like that. But I do believe the experience and the kind of the winning mentality that they're going to bring into Fife, I think it will help them along, and I think they could edge up into 8th, 7th, or 8th. I just have that kind of feeling that they're going to bring on players around them.
Davey, Lucic, I'm just looking at the stats of the game, the 5-4 loss to the Manchester Storm they had the other night. Lucic played 20 minutes, 10 seconds. Simon Desprez, Simon Dupre played 23 minutes, 45 seconds. They're gonna lean heavily on these players, and the success is obviously going to be how fit they keep them.
Yeah, Fife playing a wee bit short and D, so their D are all having to play big minutes. But Lucic, once he gets his legs underneath him, yeah, it might take him a month here. I don't know in terms of condition that he's came in, but he didn't look great the first night in Belfast. He looked a little bit better the next night. I've seen the two games, a little bit of the both games in the weekend. He looks better again, starting to get his hands certainly haven't left him. You know, he's very good, you know, that way. This guy's played in the NHL for an awful long time. Butch has played in the NHL for a long time. They're premium level players that should do very well in this league. But, you know, in terms of like being this physical monster, it's not going to happen. There's nobody wants it so much anymore. And I can understand that to an extent. You know, if Lucic and Booth are going to affect Fife in a positive way, it's going to be only on the scoreboard. And it's going to be playmaking, and it's going to be and I've seen enough. They scored a goal against us where the pucks came in, Lucic off the skate, immediate pass down centre ice. I can't remember whether it's Booth going north to south and goes in and scores. He's a playmaker as well. I don't think he's going to like trouble the top of the charts in terms of scoring, but he'll bring something to Fife that they just don't have there at the minute. And will they get up in the eighth? You know, possible.
Interesting comments coming in from like Kevin Madden saying McDavid alone won't get the Oilers to Stanley Cup. Lucic won't get Fife into the playoff spot. It's a team sport. June Hamilton takes more than two players to make a team. They may be good, but they can't do it on their own. I get that. I absolutely do. But then I would also say, would we have won the league in 2006 without Theo Fleury? No, because I don't think we would. We had a good team. But Theo Fleury was the key, was the difference that took us from without a player of his standard. He scores like 100 points in the year that he was here. Do we achieve what we achieved without having that one player to put us on the back when we needed him? I don't think we do. So therefore, one player of that standard can certainly make a difference for you to go up 1, 2, 3 places. Marty?
Yeah, but with the likes of Lucic and Booth, I mean, they're going to be big impact in the locker room as well. You know, just making things right. I mean, let's be honest. I know you touched there, Davy, about Lucic, about his scoring, but how smart was that guy forechecking in the league or in the NHL? He's gonna once he gets fitter, he's gonna bring that up. Fife are going to be more of a swarm when they're forechecking, even on the back check, just doing the little smart things. I just think they'll raise the game of 50%, 60% of the Fife Flyers. I think it's more about what they're going to bring up in the Fife rather than just what they're going to bring individually. I think even, you know, obviously you've got the coach there, but then they're going to be feeding him little bits of information about what they've done, whether it be in Boston or whatever, you know, whatever ex-NHL teams. I know they've played for many, but I just think that experience is going to be so vital, especially for a team that's been on its knees in this league for the last 3-4 years.
It's an interesting situation because obviously Gareth Chalmers, who had been sort of ops running there, he resigned shortly before the arrival of Milan Lucic. David Bruce himself hasn't played since the turn of the year. He's played 4 games so far, but he didn't play last weekend due to potentially due to an injury. I haven't seen that, but he hasn't played since the 31st of December. We'll see what impact they have on Fife. They have lifted them briefly off the foot of the table. They're back down there now, but we'll see is in the back half of this league whether they can lift them into and bring them back to the playoffs, because it's not that long ago that Todd Dudiam had brought the Fife Flyers into the Final Four. And it was entertaining to see them there. So we wish them well. One more thing just to talk about. One thing I've just written down here on the back of the weekend past is, and I don't want this to sound condescending, but and Davey, you could maybe start this. I was very impressed by how good the Manchester Storm actually are. I thought that they were, we knew that coming into the game, and we talked about this on our WhatsApp, coming into the game on Saturday in Altrincham, they'd taken 2 wins of the Sheffield Steelers. They shut the Steelers out in Altrincham 2 days before. Cam Critchlow's put a very good side there together.
Yeah, and I thought we started really, really well.
We did. We were dominant in that first period.
We put ourselves in a really dominant position. But my goodness, does life come at you fast and altering? And Marty, you've played there. We've watched many games there, Paddy. And things just happen so fast. The momentum switches so fast, and they got a little bit, and they got themselves back into the game. I think it was the right result overall. I think we did enough over the 60 minutes to be victorious. But yeah, they're going to take points off teams, and we have to play them a good few times as well. Obviously, with the rearranged game there as well. Yeah. We're playing
at the end of the month.
Playing this week. We played at the end of the month, and we'll be game to squeeze in somewhere. So, there's a lot of talk about things that are going on in Manchester, on and off the ice over, potentially over the next few years. So, they're an org on the up, if you like. They're doing well on the ice. They're doing well off the ice. It was a decent crowd in. They sell out when the big boys come in. So it was good to see the arena so noisy at the weekend. It was also good to take a win and get out of there.
We had back-to-back games at home against them, Marty, in December or November, sorry, and split the points. Basically, they did we sort of scored 6 goals in one period against them, and then they came back and hit us the next night. But they sit 5th in the league, and we faced them at home this Sunday at 4 p.m. Decent side.
Yeah, no, funny. I was going to bring that up about the doubleheader. Yeah, they were leading against us, and then you say the third period we came out 6 goals, and I thought the next night, we're just gonna do the same again. We're just going to go out, continue the confidence, and they beat us in overtime, I believe. I think we got a point in that second game.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, my goodness, how have we not continued on from the third period the night before? But it was visible because I would often quite watch the bench and see what's going on and see what the coaches are instructing to the players, and you could just see that Cam Crutchlow's got all the guys kind of backing him and believing in what he does. And I was actually watching highlights. I think it was Manchester's game on Sunday, and I think they scored a goal late on, and you can actually see players jumping up and down cheering because they got the late goal. And you don't often see players jumping up and down off their feet on the bench. Obviously, a final, but I mean, kind of mid-season. So it's just visible to see that all his players have bought into what he's doing, and he's doing an excellent job there. And yeah, as you say, Sunday is going to be tough. Obviously, focus is tomorrow night in Dundee. Then the home focus will be the Nottingham Panthers. But once the Nottingham Panthers fly out that evening, then it'll all be on to the Manchester Storm, because they're certainly not an easy team.
And interesting as well from the Storm perspective is that you've got Drew de Ritter in goal against the Sheffield Steelers. He gets the shutout 3-0, and then they were able just to switch in Evan Wenger, who I thought had a great game, and against the Belfast Giants. So two good experienced netminders, Wenger with an experience in this league, and the Storm team were able to sort of to switch between the two of them, which for Cam Critchlow was a good sort of thing for them to have. What I will say is, sorry, just one more thing is a question. There's a good point that's come in from somebody watching in, which is what do we think of Carson Drewinski? We obviously spoke about him before he'd actually played a game. He's now played a few games there. Davy, you've been seeing him up close and personal on the bench. Your thoughts on how he settled in?
Hey, big body. He stepped into that 26-91 line when Jake Gaudet's obviously gone out of it there, and those guys haven't missed a beat. I like a lot about his game. It'll be interesting. Obviously, we've got Josh Roots coming back in the next little while. We've got Jake Gaudet due back, and Jake's a lock. What he's done in the first few months this season, he's a lock in this team. So, he's a go-to guy. So it'll be interesting to see where things shake up, or who's in, who's out on any given night. But I really like the start that Carson's made. He's got points in there. He goes to the net well. He forechecks, back checks. He's doing everything. He's getting an opportunity to play. Obviously, he's a new guy in the locker room. Seems to be good about the place. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with how he's done.
Marty?
Yeah, similar to Davy. You could just tell when he first came in. He has a cannon of a shot, but you just tell that it's a little bit rusty, and it was nice for him to get that first goal. I think the first goal, it was in Boxing Night he got his first goal, or was it the 30th? It was certainly in home ice, and then once he kind of got moved up there to obviously jump into the top line. Kicked on, we got a couple of goals, obviously up in Scotland, and I've enjoyed his physical presence. Obviously, it's nice to see guys in the team playing the body. Obviously, like Sir Ryan Smith and Jake Gaudey, and then obviously Turinsky as well. It's nice to see him going in and just being that kind of crunching player. Once he makes the hit. So yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to these games, coming up, certainly this week, just to see what else he's going to bring for the team.
Absolutely. It's for the Belfast Giants this weekend. We spoke about it. We have games against the Dundee Stars on Wednesday night, and that's at 7 p.m. away at the Dundee Ice Arena. You get that on Stars TV if you're not making the trip. And we also have the home games, Nottingham Panthers on Saturday, 7 p.m. and then the visit of the Manchester Storm on Sunday at 4 p.m. You get tickets to those. And if not, you can watch them with our good friends, including Mr. Gareth Martin here on Belfast Giants TV. Any other business, boys?
Paddy, do you want me to talk about Simon Phillips?
Yes, you go for it.
So we're hoping to help. There's the big Belfast Giants fan, Simon Phillips, unfortunately struggling with a cancer diagnosis, needs some specialist treatment out in Germany. They're trying to raise £25,000. I'll just read you very quickly a little note from their GoFundMe page. Simon Phillips, my sister's fiance, and he lives in Northern Ireland. In 2014, he was diagnosed with adenoid cystic carcinoma in his left salivary gland. It's very rare and it's a vicious cancer. He's undergone surgery and radiotherapy, but was in remission for many years. Unfortunately, in July 2024, the same cancer came back in C4 section of the neck. Because of the location, Simon needed 2 surgeries to stabilize this, prevent him from collapsing, causing paralysis and even death. Scans in 25 showed one nodule in his left lung, or one node, in his left lung. August scan of the spine has shown the tumor in C4 starting to press in the spinal cord. It goes on to a little more detail. We'll put the Just Giving link up where you can read about Simon. We obviously going to do what we can. We'll get some shirts, we'll get some tickets, we'll get a raffle or 2 going. And as always, we press on you guys to give what you can. If you can, it'll be really gratefully received by the family. You may need up to 10 treatments. Each treatment costs around £5,000. It's unfortunate that this stuff has to be done in Germany and not available on our own health service. But, let's do what we can to help this guy be as comfortable as possible.
Absolutely, really, really sad. This scenario is so anything, and we know that the Belfast Giants fans have always been so generous in their help, and that it would be fantastic if we are able to sort of offer what help we can. Other piece of news on a little lighter note is to go to this. A big congratulations to be had, Davy.
The captain. The captain on the 23rd of December. I did not.
I do have a picture. Picture. There it is. Congratulations to David Goodwin. Just over Christmas. Just over Christmas. There, got married.
Got married. The lovely Shannon, and I'm sure they've got a honeymoon planned after the hockey season, but he's too busy at the minute, so we apologise there for that. But again, great to see someone happy.
Listen, David Goodwin's a good guy. We're really delighted he's in his position, and that him and Shannon, it looked like there was a great night had. And I have no doubt when the hockey season comes to an end, they'll have that time to get away and do a bit. No doubt it'll be somewhere where he can just show off his Spanish. That'll be exactly what will happen for some Spanish, South America or somewhere like that. Congratulations, Gaudey.
Yeah, congrats.
Really great news. Is that it, boys? Are we all done and dusted here?
That's it from my end, boys. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year. May 2026 make all your dreams come true. May we hang some banners and make some memories, boys.
2025 was a great year for the Belfast Giants. 2 trophies in the bag, and continued success for what we do. And it was fantastic that we were able to do that. And hopefully 2026 brings equally the amount of success. Big thanks to, well, I'll wrap it up there. The big thanks to Jake Gaudey and of course Danny Stewart for coming and having a chat with us. The Giants are away to Dundee on Wednesday, at home to the Nottingham Panthers in a massive game, at top of the table Nottingham Panthers on Saturday at 7 p.m. If you can't get down there, Belfast Giants TV is your friend. Get involved with that. And then we are at home again to the Manchester Storm, 4 p.m. on Sunday. Get yourself down, or Giants TV. Gentlemen, a pleasure as it always is. It's good to see you. Good to see you after a long break. And
bear with me there, Paddy. I don't have. You obviously don't have the pictures. I was just gonna want to pay tribute to this wee guy. Harry Long. I know you're going to play the video. Yeah. Paddy, try and get this out. Harry Long. You maybe many people will recognize him. Very, very few people have spoken to him. He was a friend of mine. He passed away in mid-December there. He was a massive Glentoran fan, but in his later years found a love for the Belfast Giants. He wasn't a talkative creature at all. If you got 2 words out of Harry, you'd be doing well. He minded his own business, but he loved the team, and he's another one that sadly goes to the rafters with the rest of those great fans that have walked these paths before, and we remember them all.
Absolutely. We are going to close. We are going to close with the tribute video that was so brilliantly done by the Belfast Giants, paying tribute to all those who have lost in the last 12 months. Davy, Marty, good to see you, boys.
See you. Thanks, buddy.
And wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.